Hello everyone. In this video, I will show you some best games like Deathloop. So without any further ado, let's start this video. The first game of this video is Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is a game about an unidentified astronaut traveling through a solar system that blows up every 22 minutes from a supernova sun. It includes open-world adventure, riddles, and a Groundhog Day time cycle. The game begins and ends on Timber Hearth, the player character's home planet, a tiny town nestled inside a crater. You're a new recruit for Outer Wilds Ventures, and you've been assigned the difficult mission of unearthing the mysteries of the Namai, an extinct extraterrestrial species that once lived in your solar system thousands of years ago. Next up we have the Sexy Brutale. The Sexy Brutale isn't the most well-known game in the world, as it doesn't have the mass appeal that a first-person shooter does. But the 2017 video game features the same type of puzzle gaming as Deathloop without all of the running and gunning. The game is a 12-hour loop of time inside a mansion where NPCs are getting brutally murdered one at a time, and players have to get to the bottom of what's going on and save all the guests. Next up we have 12 Minutes. Using a unique top-down perspective, 12 Minutes is a point-and-click interactive thriller that features a mysterious time loop, player choices, and a superstar cast of James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe. You play as a nameless man trapped in a hellish nightmare that he's forced to repeat over and over again. The game starts off nice enough. You go home to your wife at your tiny apartment, and the two of you enjoy a romantic meal together. Next up we have Prey. Just like Dishonored and Deathloop, Prey was also developed by Arcane Studios, and it shares many of the same gameplay mechanics too. Players have to get creative to overcome obstacles. It's in a largely open-world environment, and this time players don't have supernatural abilities, but they instead adopt the aliens' abilities. This time it isn't a period setting, and it doesn't take place in some barren wasteland, but it's set in space in the future. Next up we have Dishonored Series. The Dishonored games have a lot in common with Deathloop. They're both made by the same studio and share a lot of the same gameplay elements. Not only do you play as an assassin with supernatural abilities in the Dishonored series, but you also explore sandbox levels to complete missions and take out enemies. Next up we have Portal 2. Portal isn't a stealth game, and though it's technically a first-person shooter, as it's in the first-person perspective and sees players shooting portals at walls, it isn't an FPS in the traditional sense. However, despite this, fans of Deathloop would love Portal 2, as it's a game that forces gamers to use their heads, and the levels are essentially puzzles, just like the 2021 game. Next up we have Hitman 2. The Hitman series lacks any of the supernatural abilities that Deathloop has, but it is one of the most inventive stealth games that exist. If gamers are picking up Deathloop for the creative ways to get around maps unnoticed and prefer to use strategy and logic instead of running through guns blazing, Hitman 2 is the perfect follow-up. The game sees players attempt to take down targets in the most creative ways possible, and they can dress Agent 47 in all sorts of disguises to keep his true identity from being revealed. Next up we have the Borderlands series. Borderlands doesn't have any stealth. In fact, it's the complete opposite, as the game is full of psychotic characters out to kill everyone, but stealth is virtually the only difference the two games have. The first-person shooter series has some striking similarities to Deathloop. For anybody who admires the creative and unique artillery in the 2021 game, they'll love the Borderlands franchise. Next up we have Thief. Garrett, the master thief, steps out of the shadows into the city. In this treacherous place, where the Baron's watch spreads a rising tide of fear and oppression, his skills are the only things he can trust. Even the most cautious citizens and their best-guarded possessions are not safe from his reach. As an uprising emerges, Garrett finds himself entangled in growing layers of conflict. Led by Orion, the voice of the people, the tyrannized citizens will do everything they can to claim back the city from the Baron's grasp. The last game of this video is Bioshock Infinite. Like Deathloop, Bioshock Infinite has an extraordinarily unique premise, as it's a first-person shooter that takes place in a fictional city in the sky. It's fast-paced, is full of one-of-a-kind weapons, and the locations are well-crafted and detailed, much like the pacing, weapons, and locations in Deathloop. So that's the list of 10 games like Deathloop. If you enjoy this video, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel Games Puff, and press the bell icon for more gaming updates.